Hello and welcome to another new episode of Learning Simplified. And in this tutorial on AngularJS, we will be now talking on some of the ng directives being used in Angular. Stay tuned. So far in this tutorial, we had learned a lot of many other things been discussed in AngularJS, like we are now aware of how to make usage of the module and the controller section into our project. We had made usage of filters. We knew about it. We are aware of creating our own list elements and the table elements into our AngularJS project. In doing all of this practically, we had made usage of some kind of ng directives earlier. Like if we start from the beginning, these are ng directives being used here. Among them, we had already made usage of ng app. We know the functionality of ng controller. Next, we had made usage of this ng repeat directive while creating some list items here into our project, into the same. Next, we had made usage of ng model too. Remember the part where we had made input of some text elements and we see that the input was returned to us. So all of these functionalities were practically made easy by the ng model directive that we had been using into our project. Next comes this ng show and ng hide. So in this video, we will be discussing on the ng show and the ng hide directive, and in the next videos we will be knowing some more ng directives like the include, the bind, and these sort of things. So this is what we are going to know in the next 2 or 3 video tutorials. I'm not sure. So let's proceed. If we head back to our project now, in the very first case, all we are going to do, we will be now creating a very simple HTML element, something like this one. So we have created this HTML element. Now, if we head back to our project and reload, we can see that the HTML element is now shown into our project. Right now, if we make usage of, for say, this ng hide, and not only that, we need to set an attribute here. If we just set this attribute to, true, so there are practically binary attributes that we can make usage of. Either we may set this ng hide directive to true or we may set it to false. So if it is true, press Ctrl S. Now if we head back and reload, and we can see that immediately the h1 element is practically gone. We cannot see it anymore. If we set this ng hide property to false, press Ctrl S and reload, and we can see that the hello cruel world, this is not cruel world, this is cruel world. I had made another mistake here. It's not, there it goes, hello cruel world. So if we now reload, we can see that we are practically able to view the HTML element again. So we may set this ng hide property to true or false. Now, instead of setting it to false, ng hide property to false, if we now set this ng show property to, for say, true, and now if we reload, we can see that we still are able to see the HTML element. right into our project. But in the same manner, if we now set this ng-show property to false, and now if we reload, we can see that immediately the HTML element is gone. So this is the factor. We may use ng-show or we may use ng-hide. The main thing is setting the attribute to a particular one, and in this particular case, as we can see, that ng-show false is definitely equivalent to ng-hide true. So this is the thing we need to remember. Now, this is just a simple part that we can make usage of. We may make it a little bit of complicated. For say, we are now creating a div element right over here. So we have created a div element. Now inside this div element, we will be now creating this input type for say checkbox, and prior to this, let's put on a label. There it goes. We may name it as hide HTML element. So we have created practically a checkbox right over here, and next we are just about to show this individual h1 element right over here. Now if we keep it up to this far and if we head back to our project and reload, we can see that there goes the thing hide HTML element. And on the other hand, we have set this attribute to false. So all we are about to do, so we are not hiding anything. We are just keeping them intact. We are just keeping this h1 element intact over here. Head back to your project and reload, and we can see that we are able to view this HTML element. Now if we just click on this checkbox, we can see that nothing practically happens here. The intention is on clicking this individual checkbox, this hello cruel world, it should be disappearing. Let's head back to our project, and here into this checkbox, we will be now creating this ng model. Let's name it something like collect value. So we have practically created an ng model, and we had named it with this one, this collect value. Now we will be setting this div into something else like this ng hide. Here we will be using this same individual name of the ng model that we had created earlier. We'll be placing it right over here, and we have no need of this ng hide false here. All we are about to do, we are just creating this HTML element right over here. Now if we press Ctrl S and if we head back to our project and reload, in the initial case we can see that we are practically able to see the HTML element, this h1 element right over here. But now if we check this box, we can see that everything disappears practically. The div along with the h1 element into it. So if we wish to fetch it back, we need to reload the page, and there's nothing else. There's practically no scope that we uncheck this box and gain back this same HTML element that we had used earlier. So instead of using this ng hide property into the div element, the proper place is to use it along with the HTML element that we had created. Now if we head back and reload, and now if we check this box, we can see that the HTML element is now hidden from us, but we can see the check uncheck box, and if we uncheck it, the HTML element returns back again.